passed away, because a lot of the adults, of course, are now fairly elderly. There is the Dandenong Journal material, but they show a photo of one of the students, one of the teachers, and a picture that the student drew. And there are a couple of photographs of the flattened grass circles, but unfortunately not very clear or good ones. So, we've tried advertising in the local papers. We've tried a lot of things to come up with some visual material, because the stories, people's stories say that it became like a bit of a recreation going to have a look at the circles. It wasn't as though only one or two people saw them. The whole community was down there. Mums and dads and aunts and uncles, and everybody was down looking at these circles. But people didn't have cameras like they do now.
Was there an investigation?
Look, what was called the Victorian Flying Saucer Research Society, they went down to the area and tried to investigate, but as you'd see in the film, the high school shut the story down fairly quickly because, of course, I guess they wanted to bring a bit of order back to the school and get on with schoolwork. And we have many witnesses telling us that they were visited at the school by a number of different authority figures. Some we think were the Air Force, others, one student who was taken into the headmaster's office with two strange men thinks they were ASIO. But look, we don't know. We don't have written documentation of these. We have people's memories, and we have many different memories from many independent witnesses saying the same sort of thing. There were army reported at some of these landing circles, about up to 20 men. There were people with Geiger counters, different occasions reported by different people. So, something pretty fishy was going on, I think.
Did you go, I presume that you went to the Department of Defence and the RAAF and the police and all of those sorts of authorities to see if there was any record?
Look, there's been exhaustive searches done. We've tried ourselves, and I have located quite a few policemen from the time, but unfortunately nobody who can tell us, nobody who can really give us a heads up on this. Other people have done exhaustive research in the National Archives. Over 5 years, there's a group called Disclosure Australia, and they have been through all sorts of different government files, including Department of Defence, External Affairs, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, you name it. They've been there looking for files, and nothing has come up on Westall, which is highly unusual given that it did have a public profile.
Rosie, after speaking to these people, do you tend to believe them?
Look, I don't know what to believe. I believe that something very strange, something unusual was in the sky. I believe their stories. I believe their memories. Of course, I think time perhaps changes some of the details, but I think fundamentally too many people have reported something similar to me, and too many very normal, straightforward people who aren't after their 15 minutes of fame. They're just ordinary people who happen to take part in something that was rather extraordinary. I believe that they are telling their story in good faith. I don't know what it is that they're talking about that was in the sky, and neither do they, and that's precisely what really set us off on this investigation, trying to find out what it was.
Now, you're going to screen this documentary.
That's right.
When's it on?
It's on Friday night on the Sci-Fi Channel on Foxtel at 8:30, and it's also on Saturday at 11:05 and 6:30.
So for those of our listeners who have pay TV, have a look at that because it's interesting. I might actually ask people, firstly, if anybody was there or if anybody remembers the Westall sightings in 1966. We'll see if we can find someone, Rosie, that's actually been there and what they experienced as well.
That would be marvellous. I mean, the people we're particularly keen to talk to are any members of the police or the Air Force, or we have spoken to a fireman who remembers going out in the fire truck. They were called out by somebody, and they visited the site. He remembers seeing, a whole crowd of people all terribly excited about this. So we're particularly interested in speaking to anyone from the services who may be able to help us.
Good stuff. Well, we'll see what we can find for you, Rosie. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thanks very much, Trevor.
Rosie Jones, who's the producer